Hello, and welcome to A Few Minutes With. Today we're talking to Amanda Friedman, Director of Design and Development for Sambazon. Amanda's going to talk to us about opening a restaurant in an airport. Hello, Amanda. Can you tell us some of the hurdles you face when opening a restaurant in an airport?
There's definitely, some hurdles. Airport projects are not for the faint of heart. So, first off, just getting into an airport, it's difficult. And in most cases, you go through a very formal RFP process. And if your concept aligns with what the airport's looking for, but also what passengers and the crew is looking for, you've got a shot. But once you get in and you're a green light, now you have to navigate through all the typical permitting and paperwork and construction process. And honestly, finding companies that are even able to work in the airports, it's a small pool, which really can slow things down. And construction, it's honestly a whole other beast. So costs are significantly higher in airports than in street side build outs. Somewhere upwards of $2,000 per square foot. And you're working in very secure, highly regulated environments. Access is limited. You have working hours that are restricted to after the last plane comes out. And you've got to be very organized to stay on track. And that is one thing that we've actually find as our successes at Sambazon is that we try to pre-build everything offsite as much as we can, at least, like the wall paneling and the millwork, so that by the time it's ready to ship out, it just gets quickly installed because the plumbing and electrical and the walls are already there because that was done on site. So it's a great way to save time and control cost. And once you're finally open, you're running into, working from early morning hours until the last flight. So your operation has to be built for speed, flexibility, and consistency under that pressure.
And Amanda, in terms of how your restaurants look in airports, there tends to be a seamless look in airports. Are there rules that you have to abide by and change your design either significantly or slightly to fit in with their design landscape?
Yeah, airport rules can definitely shape how your concept shows up. So, some airports have very, very specific design guidelines, and we're talking like things such as exterior signage, like how does that look, down to the very materials that you're allowed to use. And certain airports want a very localized, site-specific feel, while others prefer, that consistency with your street side locations. So some airports will limit you even to what you sell in your space. So, for instance, if you want to sell coffee, but a nearby concept is selling coffee, you typically can't. So that really impacts not only your menu, but your operational flow. And it comes also down to pricing. So pricing is another one that really affects how your restaurant looks like in an airport. So some airports won't let you charge more than what you charge on the street side, while others will let you have some sort of, wiggle room, usually 10 to 15%. So even if you want to add more premium finishes, you honestly have to be smart about it because the pricing can't always support that higher build out cost. But at the end of the day, no matter what concept you're designing, you need to stay on brand while being super adaptable. And at Sambazon, we go in with the mentality that we have a flexible design kit of parts. So we can customize based on whatever the specific need is of the airport.
In terms of your layout in an airport, I'm guessing the spaces are smaller. Do you have to make changes to the back of house, to how people flow through the front? What's different in an airport, Amanda?
And behind the scenes, the flow is really different. Every airport comes with their own rhythm. Every airport, comes in with a different, back of house configuration or secondary storage ability. So you need to be flexible on that end. We always design for, at least 4 feet of walking space to accommodate the luggage that people often have. And we heavily lean into the self-order kiosks just to speed things up for the passengers, just to give them that extra option. We have the grab and go, of course, right at the checkout, so guests can easily just grab, pay, and be on their way. But it's all about removing the friction without compromising on what you're already known for. So the layout, it might flex to the different places that you're in, but at the end of the day, that experience is always staying true to who we are, which is food focused, acai first.
And ideally, in an airport, airports are huge. Where do you like your Sambazons to be located?
Yeah, I mean, the best locations in an airport restaurant, at least for Sambazon, they typically meet three very key criteria. So you want the maximum exposure to employment traffic. You want to be close to, several gates. But you also want to have your concept align with the types of travelers that are around. So, for example, a more high-end food concept is better situated near gates that are serving those premier airlines, while a budget-friendly option would thrive near those low-cost carriers. But at the end of the day, it's all about understanding how travelers move. So most passengers, they experience something that we call in our industry gate anxiety. They want to see their gate before doing anything else. So once they've done that, though, they tend to stay close by. And a common rule of thumb in our industry is that for every 10 minutes before boarding, people will really only explore about 3 to 4 gates in either direction. And that's why having that high visibility, standalone location near gates are so effective. But, there are also passengers who arrive early, like families or groups, and they often gravitate towards the food halls, the spaces that are larger and have a variety of options. So, of course, location alone isn't enough. It's your concept has to be clear, approachable, and visually compelling. So, when the right location aligns with a very compelling concept, you've got a winning formula for success.